Have you ever lost and then regained the same 20 to 30 pounds over and over again because life got busy, you traveled too much, or you just simply got burned out? If so, you're gonna find this video really helpful. I interviewed one of my clients, Jeff, who spent years going through different personal trainers, trying intermittent fasting, trying keto, using meal prep subscription services, trying nutritionists, even thinking about trying Ozempic. And this whole time for years, nothing would stick until he finally was able to break that cycle. And today he's 20 pounds lighter. He's stronger than ever. He's got more energy than he had in his 30s, and he's confident and in control of his own health. In this interview, we talk about what actually occurred for him to achieve these results and why most men over 40 never make it that far. All right. Hey, everybody. I am here with one of my one-on-one fitness and nutrition clients, Jeff. Jeff and I have been working together for the last 6 months, and we'll talk a bunch about some of the successes and some of the changes that he's seen. But Jeff, would you mind just introducing yourself quick? Just tell us a little bit about your background, your family, and yeah, we'll take it from there.
Yeah, excuse me. Name's Jeff. Started off in finance, moved in from finance to be an entrepreneur over that time period. We started a consumer product company, built it up, and built it up to about seven, eight, nine, 10 figures in revenue. Had quite a nice business, and then sold it to a
Yeah.
European company about 12, 13 years ago. Since then, still been doing entrepreneurial things and more into real estate, assisted living homes and such items as that. We have two kids. The first one just graduated, going off to college this fall, so we're excited about that.
Yep.
And trying to get him set it on the right track too. And then the other one has got 2 more years of high school and is studying for ACTs and things like that.
Yeah. So rewind back, Jeff, like when you and I first started again about 6 months ago, what were some of the biggest challenges, the biggest hurdles that you were running into there, and really the main motivator for you and I connecting in the first place?
Yeah, I've always been sort of fit, or into fitness, working out, but over the years it's gotten lazier, diet's gotten worse. You always think it can get back to it, and for me it was the roller coaster. It was doing really well for a couple weeks, and all of a sudden you go off track, and then you're starting back at zero or probably in the hole at -1. So it was, a couple, it's not a couple, several years of that, 5, 6, 7 years later, you packed on 20, 30, 40 pounds. For me, it was about 35, 40. And it's just the frustration of always restarting and then, trying to get back on track.
Um, what were some of the things that you mentioned trying to get back on track? What were some of the things that would tend to throw you off track?
I tried a lot of different things. I first always try to gut it out and discipline. And I came, from a disciplined background and served in the military and stuff, and thinking I could just get back into it. A couple of injuries slowed me down. Had a knee replacement along the way. But then I kept on starting working out with trainers, and what I found out was working out with more trainers was, all they really cared about was me showing up, 3, 4 times a week. Nothing outside of what we did in that half hour to 45 minutes to an hour workout, they could care less about. So
Yeah.
sometimes I try to add a nutritionist onto that too. And then I went to like sort of clubs such as Profile and other sort of places where I found they were just trying to sell you meals. And even the time the meals they're selling you, they're crappy, processed, and
Yep.
expensive. And it's not really a lifestyle change I could get anything from. You lost a few, 5, 6 pounds here and there, but again, it's sort of a boomerang after you stop taking the programs. Started looking at intermediate fasting, and what I found out is, I cut my calories down, but at 3:30 or 4 o'clock, I would be starving, and probably eat more than I would if I ate a breakfast in the day. So sort of looking at the whole thing, and then no one's holding me accountable for it all. So then I get frustrated, and I start looking at the medical things such as Ozempic or some of what do you call those, the A1 or
Yep.
the
GLP.
peptides.
Yep.
Yep, GLP ones. And at the time that I was looking at them, they pretty much said you could get it for 1 month, but after that you can't. There's so much demand for it that the current supply of people, their patients, were getting all the priority. So I just didn't even go down that path. So it was just, tried a lot of different things along the ways. And part of it also was me, it was just sort of realistic expectations, thinking, okay, if I get back on the horse now and I do it strong, I can drop 15 pounds this 1 month.
Yeah.
And I was pushing myself too hard. And then when I didn't get there, again, the wheel started again, the frustration is what had happened, and I was just disappointed in myself.
Yeah. You and I have talked obviously a lot over the last 6 months. You've tried a lot of different things in the past, and then one of the things that you shared with me was just some of the struggles, just based on your time constraints, right?
Yep.
Bouncing back and forth between two different states, travel, and just having a hard time figuring out, okay, how do I work out and stay consistent when you're bouncing back and forth between a lot of different places? Would you mind just touching quickly on how this has fit into that lifestyle of still knowing you're busy, still knowing that one day you'll be in one state, the next day you might be in the next state, and bouncing back.
Yeah, absolutely. And the best part of it was, it didn't matter where you were and what you were doing, because so much of it, when you were traveling, I mean, working out is a big part of it,
Yeah,
but it's not the main part of it. Where, it's the eating and eating the right types of foods. There was a big change for me, and then the timing of when to eat those, and then in the structure of it. So, location didn't matter as much. And if I was there, it helped a lot with some more body weight things, where I could do simply, even if it's in the airport or if it's in a hotel room or somewhere where you could, just get some activity moving.
yeah,
And so that was a big change of sort of the mindset versus having to go to a gym or go to a hotel with a gym or something there, or being scared of going out to dinners or something like that.
yeah,
Even if I did go out and have a glass of wine or a drink at dinners, you sort of the program helped me focus on that. That's not the kiss of death. You're not starting back at zero. It's
yeah,
okay. Tomorrow you just have to make a couple little small changes, and you're right back on the program.
yeah. I won't spoil it all because I wanted to hear some of it from you. But over the course of the 6 months, you dropped just about 20 pounds,
Yep.
and that's really telling the least of the story. Seeing the changes in the body composition. I mean, you look like a totally different human being. I know some of the blood work and some of the health markers. Would you mind diving in a little bit, just in your own words, of some of the changes that you've seen over the last 6 months, the first half of this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, part of this whole thing too was, for me, it's not just losing weight.
Yeah.
Losing weight is part of being a healthier lifestyle. And some of the things I was looking at in the mirror, I sort of looked at, some of the things that, my dad went through.
Mhm.
And, if you looked at your health, you always look at your parents' health. And then later in life, he had heart issues, he had diabetes, he had kidney failure. So, if I didn't make some changes on my life, that's sort of the path that I was going to go down to. So what I really started looking at was not just losing the weight, but also the health side of it. I started taking my old blood samples from from physicals, got new ones updated them, looked where the trend was, and it was trending up higher blood sugars, higher cholesterol, lower testosterone, some things, that just weren't trending what I wanted to do. So, so what I did was, losing the weight, it helped me with all those other conditions.
Yeah.
If there's a pre-diabetic before or pre-obese, that's not an even issue right now. My blood sugars went down from, AC1 from 5.6 down to 5.1. Cholesterol was over 215. Now it's like 155.
Yeah.
I had to buy new pants, so dropped three waist sizes, two shirt sizes. So,
Yeah.
I can go around to and with, going swimming in the pool or, going in the back, when and take my shirt off and feel much more comfortable about it. So I feel more comfortable, from who I am, gained my confidence again, where I can take control of my health versus it can take control of me.
Yeah.
So it was a combination of, and I feel more comfortable. Like, as I mentioned, I'd lost 20 pounds. I probably put on 5 plus, if not more, muscle, I think,
Yeah.
because
Huge change in body composition overall.
I look at the pictures and I couldn't agree with you more. And then second was, all my numbers in the weight room and strength continue to go up, even though I lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, because to hit on that, it's not like you haven't been working out previous to you and I connecting. Like you've been trying working out consistently for years, and be able to
Right.
see some of that strength come
But
up.
the difference in some of them was I was going down some of the diet paths were very calorie restrictive,
Yeah,
and sometimes working out less or even skipping it if you focus on just the calories,
yeah,
and not the workouts. That's where I was going down a little bit down that
yeah,
path. So I was burning up muscle
yeah,
probably, and some of those types of diet fads.
for sure. You hit on it, and this is kind of my last question for you, Jeff. You hit on it early on in our conversation of I had the gut it out mentality, the DIY mentality, and I think especially with a lot of my male clients, we have that internal drive to say like I can figure this out on my own. I'll just DIY it. I got this. What would you say to someone who has been struggling for a couple of years, figuring it out on their own, or trying some of the more traditional routes, whether it be personal trainers or some of the restricted diets? What would you say to them based on your experience in the last 6 months?
Yeah, first thing is like for the program, just don't wait. Get moving. That's a big part of it because not making a decision is the decision in itself, and that's
Yeah,
what I found myself doing a lot is just not making the decision. If my toilet's plugged up here, I can play part-time plumber and try to fix it,
yeah,
or I can hire somebody who knows how to do it, bring him in and get it done the right way, properly, quickly,
yeah,
and move on. And so I think that's a big part of it is. Um, Make the decision, the right decision you think is for you. And then that for me was, I wanted to improve my health and definitely wanted to lose weight. And if you're doing, in a way that it changes my lifestyle going forward, so it's a maintainable lifestyle versus a quick, drop 20 pounds, put on 17 back.
yeah,
I'm not afraid of that at all, especially as we've worked the last 2 months. I could have took it off more weight, but maintaining it was a big part for me because I'd made such large improvements and I was, healthy, happy. My wife's giving me compliments. My friends are making, comments and stuff. So I was back in control of it. And that's what I'm saying. If you want to take control of it, take the action to do that. Right. Take the action to do that now.
yeah, yeah. I think that's such a good point. The outsourcing aspect of it. We outsource so many different things in our life, but I see it very frequently. For some reason, we still hold on to like the health or get losing weight and say,
Yep.
"I'll have someone mow my lawn," but I'm not gonna have someone help me with my
Yep.
fitness and nutrition or the plumber example in your case.
And that's the hard thing too, because there's so many things out there. You can read books, you can read the new, fads and magazines, watch all YouTube videos. Your program it's extremely simple, and I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean
Yeah,
it's incorporates into busy lifestyles.
yeah,
The kids running around. I can have meals with my kids and still have them be very healthy and maintaining it versus, if they are eating, mac and cheese every night or something like that.
yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing a little bit of the background and some of the success that you've seen. It's been awesome working with you, and I know that the success that you've seen is only going to continue on as you've built these new habits, these new routines, and truthfully transformed both the physical transformation, but more importantly, is that longevity and the overall health for you. Absolutely.
I couldn't agree more, and that's what I think was been really powerful for this program for me is, I'm happy where I am now, but I want to take another 5, 7 pounds off in the next 6 months. I don't
Yeah,
need to. I feel comfortable not have to doing it in one week, and I know I can do it and still go out and have a great time.
yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing some of the story, Jeff.